World.
That's right, folks. We're back. It's Duane's World, the podcast. How you doing? It's been a long time. COVID's killed us. And as you can tell, there's a little bit of a change here at Duane's World. There's me, Duane, the Boozin blogger, and no Mitch and Mike. That's right. Unfortunately, Mitch and Mike had to step down because of personal commitments that they have. So I'm going to try and keep this train rolling. It's going to be hard because those guys were really a lot of the work behind Duane's World. And I'm going to miss arguing with those two morons. But, you know, show must go on. And I am hoping that I can get Mitch and Mike both on here from time to time to co-host. So that's what's going to happen. I'm going to have multiple co-hosts. I'm going to do at least one full topic or maybe a couple of topics during the show. I'm not sure, but there will always be a co-host or multiple co-hosts. And I am also setting up a deal with to get a little bit of... I don't write commercials quite like Mitch does or Mike. So we're going to do a little different that. I think I'm going to add a beer review guy portion to the show. So enjoy that. Today I've got Dave McConnell, Ottawa comedian, former CKBY host, as well as a songwriter, and we're gonna go through and delve into trans athletes, specifically male to female trans, as they're playing sports against regular females. So stick around for that. Now, what the fuck? Let's get her going. All right. So today I have with me Dave McConnell, who's a local comedian in Ottawa, former DJ at CKBY. Am I right?
That's correct.
Aha. See, I do have a memory. Anyways, he's going to be my co-host for this segment. And we're going to talk about trans athletes, specifically male to female athletes, because some people think that it's okay, but Dave and we're pretty much on the same page with this, and it doesn't seem fair. So let's get started. Here's Dave.
Yeah, you're right. It's absolutely not fair. We already have cases of, if you want to take an extreme case, you take a male or a male to female trans that competed in not the UFC, but in MMA.
Right.
I don't believe it was actually UFC, but and absolutely crippled the female that they fought against because they have a distinct strength advantage, and it's unfair. And a lot of people, like, one of the arguments I heard from actually a trans male to female was, well, I couldn't beat a female athlete if I went into a female sport, and that's accurate, because I couldn't outrun a female track athlete.
Nope.
Just because I'm a guy, because I'm not a track athlete. I'm not a runner.
Trained.
Yeah, I'm not trained, and I'm not. So there's no risk that I'm going to say, oh, I want to compete as a female and suddenly be, leaving Olympic female athletes in the dust. That's not going to happen. But if you take somebody who is a trained athlete in the same sport as a woman that goes trans male to female, they're going to have a distinct advantage over maybe all the women or 90% of the women or whatever. So when you have a female, like there's a female cyclist right now that's going to be, I think, an alternate on the U.S. team. Now, you can make an argument, well, why isn't that person on the team? Why are they an alternate? Why aren't they the top athlete because they're a male that became a female? Well, maybe they're just good enough to beat every other female up to a level, but they've eliminated a natural female from the position of alternate because they have an advantage physically over 90% of the women that wanted to be on that team, right? So, people that are making the argument, yeah, sure, does it matter if maybe like, this is a whole different argument, but an 8-year-old boy that says he wants to be a girl is competing, playing soccer against girls. Is that going to make a massive difference? No, because all the testosterone, all the other stuff hasn't kicked in yet.
Right.
Puberty, et cetera, and all the advantages that men get after that point in time. But if you're talking adult male athletes trained in a sport to go up against women also trained in that sport, those men, now women, have a distinct advantage over the majority of females, if not all of them.
Absolutely. And I was doing some reading on this actually before we met up for this. And so right now there's a rule, I think, that says that they have to be, the males have to be on female hormones for a year before they can compete against women.
Okay.
And now there's a sports, I can't remember, it was in California or Florida or somewhere, where they said that it's probably should be 2 years, because they did a study in the UK where they found that male transformed to female, they still had testosterone after 2 years. And that in its own is going to help. But physically, I liked it. There was this TV show 2 years ago, I think, and it was about a girl pitcher who made it to the majors. Okay. Physically impossible because of the way their shoulders are. That it was a great show. The show was great, but I don't think a female can compete with the men in that level. So that to me wouldn't bug me if there was it would bug me if a male trans started pitching in female baseball, because they're going to be throwing 80 and 90 miles an hour, and the girls can't keep up with it. It's just impossible.
Well, yeah, I mean, Caitlyn Jenner got a lot of flack, and I mean, I'm not a fan of Caitlyn Jenner, don't get me wrong. Especially politically, like when you see now she's running for office, It's like, come on. But Caitlyn Jenner was criticized because she said that male to female trans athletes shouldn't compete against women. But she played golf, which is I agree with, but she played golf and she hit off the ladies' tees, right? What? So, but that's, as hypocritical as that is, let's flip that to why are there ladies' tees in the first place?
Well,
because women aren't as strong as men.
Well,
women,
that's
right. So yes, you can complain about Caitlyn Jenner hitting off the ladies' tees and being hypocritical, but at the same time, ask yourself, well, why are there ladies' tees in the first place? To give the advantage to women playing golf because they don't have the strength advantage against men.
Exactly.
So, there are things in even a sport like golf where the advantage has to be, where women have to be given something to compete when they play. They have to have something given to them because they're not as strong. And yes, there are freak women. I can point to you, you want to go, okay, look, this, I'll give you an example with Ronda Rousey, okay? Ronda Rousey is a judo black belt.
Right.
And, a UFC fighter, and, obviously incredibly strong, could grab you or I and flip us on our heads, no problem. But if you've ever seen her train with male black belts, they don't have any problem with her. She cannot ever, in an actual competition, get the edge on a male. She can't do it.
Yeah.
Right? And yes, she could. Yeah. So, I mean, we're always going to have this issue, but I don't know why trans women or woke people are actually looking to ruin things for women in general, right? Like, why are you trying to take women who have spent all their time, like people say, oh, I don't care, it's just sports, who cares? Well, a lot of these women, it's their
Passion.
it's their chance to go to college.
Yep.
It's their chance to compete at a level, to make whatever, to get endorsements for sporting equipment, et cetera, et cetera. The career for a lot of women. And you can't just take the position that, well, we don't care about these women. Let's let this male who became a woman, who has a distinct advantage physically, push women who've been in these sports forever out of the way and take their spot. And so I just don't think that until they come up with, like you say, some sort of, well, you have to have been on something for so long or off something for so long or whatever before you can even think of competing. There may be a way to make it work eventually. I don't know, but at this point in time, there's no way to make it work.
See, I'm a firm believer that that you're. I think you're 100% correct, and right, Ronda Rousey would kick our ass. The problem, one of the big problems for me in this whole thing is that women have fought for so long to be able to compete, to get TV contracts, to, you got the WNBA now, and you've got like female soccer and all these stuff where they're pro athletes, and now they're finally getting the recognition that they deserve, because there's a lot of incredible female athletes. And,
absolutely.
And now you're getting people who are trans. Just, to me, it's almost making a mockery of the female sport by letting a transgendered female compete, because really, think about it. You watch a WNBA game, the women are amazing. But you put in a 6 foot or a 7'2" male to female, and they're going to dominate the hell out of it. And it's not fair to these women who have worked their asses off to get the respect that they belong.
Well, yeah, exactly. And if you look, like there's I think it's New Zealand, there's a male to female trans weightlifter.
Yes, that broke all the girls' records.
Yeah. And he's breaking all the records, and he's she's eliminating people from competing because they're taking spots on teams. And you got to also realize that we now live in a time. We live in a time like before a trans person was, to me anyway, somebody who was undergoing or making an attempt to actually become a female and live the female life. And again, I have no problem with that. Not that anyone would care if I had a problem with that, but I have no problem with that.
No.
But now it's simply, you could be John Cena and say, I identify as a woman. And that's the end of the discussion.
That's right. And
right. So now we just go, oh, well, no, if you identify as a woman, that's good enough. You're trans. So John Cena could say, I identify as a woman, and then compete against a woman in whatever, wrestling.
Oh, God.
Is that acceptable to the people that are on the side of trans male to females being able to compete in sports no matter what, right?
To me, it's just absolutely ludicrous, and I can't wrap my mind around it. There are some sports where male to female might not make a difference. I used to pitch fastball, and I have a friend who, she would get behind the plate for me because a lot of guys wouldn't catch for me because they're kind of afraid of the ball and stuff. So there are those girls that are out there, women who are out there that are just as good as men at a lot of things, but when you're taking it to a pro level, I'm sorry, like Manon Rhéaume, she was better than a lot of OHL goaltenders or in the Quebec junior leagues. But when she got to the NHL, it became it was like a lark. She got on the ice once, but I mean that was just all publicity. Was she a great goaltender? Yes, as a woman. But now picture Carey Price switching to become a female goaltender. He's automatically playing for Team Canada. Guaranteed. There's not another woman that could compete against him if he changed over. So like this whole thing it's to me it's crazy. I love the if you want to, you be who you want to be, but you also gotta, it's. And is it the same?
You have to be realistic, and I hate that the name's escaping me now because it's like I'm trying to do this on the spot. Maybe it'll come to me. Female tennis player, greats. Oh, Serena Williams. There you go.
She can be
Serena Williams.
Males.
Yeah, well, Serena Williams admitted that because John McEnroe made a comment when somebody said Serena Williams is the greatest tennis player of all time. And John McEnroe said, no, female tennis player. And people got all up in arms about that. And they asked Serena Williams point blank, and she said, I can't compete against the men. They're faster, the pros. Again, she's going to dust us, even if we're reasonably good tennis players.
Oh, God, yes.
But she's not, she knows as a woman that the men are faster, serve harder, that she can't return it, that she's not competitive in that environment. Like she wouldn't be even a top 20 or 30 male tennis player.
No, and for all the shit McEnroe did when he was younger and when he was a player, he's right, 100% right. He's coach of the U.S. men's Olympic team. I think he still is. He might not be anymore. But yeah, if John McEnroe is saying something like that, you pretty much can take it to the bank. Like, I mean, he's been and played against all the greatest in the world. And Serena and Venus both, like, I mean, they're strong women. And,
absolutely.
And they can kick. Like, they would just absolutely – my first job was a tennis instructor. And they would mutilate me. I wouldn't be able to return a serve. They would just beat me up.
Whip right by your head. You wouldn't even see it. But,
yeah. And then you get Pete Sampras, who would just eat them up.
Oh, exactly. And again, like there's a statistic, I believe it's 300 high school male track athletes have better times than a female world record track athlete.
Yes.
So again, it's like, look, it's apples and oranges for the most part. Just because the orange has now decided it's an apple, doesn't change. Doesn't change the fact that it's still oranges and apples, or apples and oranges. And I'm just mystified by the desire to pretend it's not a thing. Like I've actually even heard people say, and women, not men, women say, I don't know why they divided sports in the first place.
Oh my God.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. Okay? You put any woman on the ice against, we were talking goalies earlier, but take them as defensemen or forwards and say, okay, take a female hockey player, and now we're arguing we're just mixing it. So we're not even talking necessarily close to the same level.
Like Haley Wickenheiser playing in the NHL couldn't happen. Imagine Tom Wilson hammering Haley Wickenheiser. Yeah, it's going to be ugly.
It's going to be very ugly. I mean, he flattens 6'2", whatever, 100-pound men. So imagine a woman. Like, that's what they're not taking into account. It's like, yeah, okay, look, women and men playing darts, is there a difference? Probably not.
No.
You know what I mean? There's probably no advantage a woman or a man has over a woman in a game of darts that I can think of.
Or pool.
But, or pool, or it's things like that.
Hand-eye games, not really. Like there's no physical strength to games where there's no real athletic ability involved. We can't say golf because we already talked about the golf thing, and we had Michelle Wee, was that her name? She tried the men's to play against the men and just got absolutely destroyed. So like, I'm thinking if your hand-eye games like friggin' lawn bowling or whatever, even like bowling and those type of sports, yes. But once it becomes physical, that's where it starts to.
Well, even take a sport where it's not that physical. I don't think there's a lot of women's soccer players that can compete against male soccer players.
No,
I don't think so. That's not a physical sport in the sense of contact, right? Very physical in the sense of, what you have to do to play the game, but it's not really a contact sport. And we all know that, we all know the acting that goes on in soccer. They've got fly lands on them and they've been hit by a bus. But
okay, let's take a break there. We're going to be back with Dave McConnell in a few seconds or in a few minutes. I just wanted to split it up a little. So here is a beer review with Charles, the beer review guy, Brunel. Hey, welcome to Duane's World. It's me, Duane, the Boozin blogger, coming at you. Like I said in my podcast previously, we're going to change things up a bit. I want to introduce my buddy Charles, who does beer reviews. So we call him Chuck, the beer review guy. Come on out here, Charles.
What's going on?
Not much, you buddy?
Oh, not much.
So you're going to do a beer review for us?
I can't wait to do it.
Okay. It's all on you, buddy. Here we go.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Charles, beer review guy. Oh, man, Duane, I'm never ready for this. Guys, I didn't bring my watch, but we all know what time it is.
Beer review time.
Hey, guys. I'm not hung like a beer can. It's a beer can in my pocket, because I'm going to review a beer. It is Jurassic Ipa. Strong beer. How do you invite a dinosaur? How do you invite a dinosaur to a cafe? T-Rex? Get it? All right, guys. So this is a Jurassic Ipa from Cameron's Brewing Tradition. Oh, commercial. Look at that. Let's see if I can catch a drip. All right, guys. Here, you guys take a smell. What's it smell like? Oh, what? Pine cones, you say? That is, why dinosaurs are extinct. If they drank this is why. They're like, whoa, that's not worth it. I don't even know how to describe it, Duane.
It's an IPA.
Oh, it's just everyone's the same. How do people drink these on purpose? They're all. You've had one. You had them all. So, guys, I'm gonna give this 3 T-Rexes out of 10. Enjoy Duane's World. Thanks, guys.
I hope y'all enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. Charles is a great guy, and I love his beer reviews. And we are going to try to have him on every episode, depending if we can or not. But we're going to try. Anyways, here's back to the conversation that Dave and I had about trans athletes in sports. What if a man can't make the Olympics and the only way he can make the Olympics is transitioning to a female? And
Right.
you can't tell me that's totally absurd, because I've been around athletes my entire life, and some of them would do anything to make it. Right. And what's stopping that from happening? I think the same thing about the weightlifter you were talking about. I think he couldn't beat men, so he changed it around and did it that way. Now he's got all these records.
Yeah, I don't get a lot of sincerity from that particular trans athlete.
Like I said, I went through this. I had a couple of web pages. I read a couple of stories. I read a couple, like the testosterone thing, but I didn't go as deep into it as I could have. But
I was told that in Thailand, in Muay Thai, that a trans athletes can compete, but they have to compete in their pre-transformative sex.
They got it right.
You know, so if you're a male to female trans, you cannot compete against women. You have to compete against men. You can still be a woman, but you have to compete against men. So
that makes sense to me.
Yeah. To me, that was pretty logical. I mean, I don't know that it's solvable, because unfortunately, anything you say against the woke community is considered hateful. It just can't be logical. It just can't be a discussion that needs to be had. It has to be, you are against
yes
this. You hate trans people. That's why you're saying this. I don't hate trans people. I don't hate anybody unless they've given me the most solid reason to hate them. Right?
I always say, I love everybody until you're an asshole.
Exactly. And so it's like, I don't hate trans people. If that's what makes you comfortable, that's how you want to live your life, and that's what you identify as, fine, do it. Right?
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Like, all that stuff makes sense. But welcome to the 21st century.
Exactly. I mean, that's where we're at now. I mean, it's quite a maze to try and work your way through. And as someone who personally, I don't care if I offend people. I do not say anything hateful to anybody, really, ever. So what I'm saying is not based on any kind of hate. I know people that, I definitely know people, or I've seen people say things that are very, very hateful, and they're not even giving the argument a chance to be discussed.
Exactly.
Right? And I don't agree with those people either. But if you can't bring stuff to the table in regards to any subject in a discussion and have a logical position without being considered, transphobic or Islamophobic or homophobic or whatever, then we have a huge problem. If you're just going to stifle discussion on every front. Now, and again, if your whole position is just going to be based on hate, if it's just like, well, fuck them, I don't want to talk to you either. Right?
Yeah. So we've become what? China?
Exactly.
Like, you're not allowed to talk about certain things in China or communist countries or whatever, or, and we shouldn't be that way. We shouldn't be. And the one that gets me, especially with the trans thing, and the whole LGBTQ thing as well, is that when you disagree with somebody, they automatically call you a bully. And it's like, no, this is just my opinion, and opinions are like assholes. We all have one. Right. And
there's a female to male trans, a guy named Buck Angel. I don't know if you've heard of him.
No.
But his positions are contrary to a lot of the positions of the woke people and the trans community. And this person transitioned 29 years ago or something, so a long time, right? So if you look at that person, and he is taking on people now that are doing it, like have in the last 3 years transitioned in this new environment, and they're telling him he's an asshole and he's anti-trans people and he's on the wrong side of things, and it's like, I'm literally a trans person. I've been a trans person longer than most of you, right? And I'm telling you my stance, what I think is wrong, what I think is right. Now, it doesn't mean even necessarily that he's right about everything, but the fact that they want to stifle his opinion, someone in their own community, because it doesn't follow the track they're on.
That just doesn't make sense to me either.
Yeah, it's a problem. And
by the way, that was why you were one of my first choices to do this co-host gig, was because you and me, and you fit into this format where it's no fucks are giving. It's
right.
You don't care what you say because you're going to back it up.
Right.
And I'm
going to back it up, and none of it comes from hate. I mean,
no, never.
That's the thing. Like, yeah, if you're just going to spout something based on your absolute hatred for the other side, then you probably shouldn't be having a discussion.
No.
You know? I mean, and it's the same. It's like I have friends who are very religious people. I don't hate them.
No,
but I have no time for religion.
Exactly.
I have very good arguments against their religion, right?
Yep. Sky Wizard. I love the word Sky Wizard.
Yeah, but I mean, so it's like it's not coming out of a hate for any of these people.
No, and I've been, you and I have been talking for years now on Facebook and Twitter and stuff, and I don't think you've ever come from a place of hate. It's just a place of questioning, or people who stifle you, and it is unfortunate that people believe that trans athletes should compete against regular females. It is to me, it is a tragedy. Like I said, it's the women have worked so hard to get their sports leagues,
scholarships, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and now we're taking it away, and like I said, it's kind of making a mockery of it. And I disagree with that. I just don't think. I think a woman athlete is amazing, and if they work their ass off for anything, they deserve everything that should come. And some guy shouldn't come along and say, "I want that."
Right, and I mean, yeah, it's again, it's a difficult thing, because to say a guy comes along, we're kind of in a position to say, well, it's now a woman, but it's not a woman. And that's another totally other argument that you're going to have with
that whole
trans
gender
people.
thing. Yeah,
is the biological thing,
right?
Like the biological thing. It's like a trans male to female, female to male is not biologically the sex they've decided to become, right? It's like you don't not all of a sudden have a uterus because you've decided you're a man, and you don't all of a sudden have a uterus because you've decided you're a woman.
Exactly.
Biologically, you are not that sex.
Yes.
Right? There's no arguing it. And biologically, men have a physical advantage over females in sport, in strength, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Strength, endurance, law.
Yeah, so just admit that there's a biological difference, and we're good. We can have a discussion. If you're not willing to even admit that, then we're dead in the water to begin with. Right?
I'm wondering if they could come up with another one. Like, why can't they, we've got a competition for trans athletes. Why not? They separate men and women in sports. Why not separate that as well? You got that.
Well, yeah, or at least until the day. I don't know that would you have enough trans athletes?
And that was actually going through my head too.
Right, but until they come up with a way to make it fair, and right now there isn't.
No, not at
Trans
all.
athletes shouldn't, again, female to male, if you can compete with the men, more power to you.
Yeah,
right?
You
Because
don't
you
hear
don't have
that
a
a
natural
lot,
advantage.
but it happens.
Yeah, but you don't have a natural advantage given to you biologically. But if you're the opposite, as we've discussed, to death now, right? But it's just it's not feasible, and until they come up with a fair way to do it, it's just shouldn't be happening. And I don't care what the woke people say. I don't care if you are a trans male to female who just takes a position because you think it's a position you should take, right?
Yeah.
I don't believe you can honestly believe that.
Dave McConnell, he has been my co-host for this segment of Duane's World. We have changed things around, and we are bringing in different co-hosts and stuff, and it's nice to have Dave's help and understanding and the way he deals with things, because I don't know. I look up to Dave, and I'm really, really glad you took the time out of your schedule to come on and talk.
Well, no problem, Duane, and yeah, we'll definitely do it again.
There you have it, folks. The very first reformatted version of Duane's World. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I will get better at the video editing and audio editing and stuff. It takes time. Mitch and Mike always did this part and made my job really easy. I just had to show up and drink and argue. But no, this is a little bit more work for myself. I want to thank Dave McConnell for co-hosting with me. It was awesome. I loved the chat. I also want to thank Charles Brunell, the beer review guy, for his awesome beer review. I loved it. And we will be back soon. Take care of yourselves.
Duane's World.